Okay, I guess we can start. Yesterday we had class, right? Yes, we had class yesterday, the revision class. The recording is also added to the website, so if you miss the class, you can see it. Right, some are still joining. So, anyways, we are going to start off with this question. I'll give you all. So, you're supposed to do from Roman number three. Let me just scroll down a bit. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Yeah. It's an easy question. I'll just give you all 5 minutes. If you just on the timer. Is a paper class also? Actually, no, how much? I watched the recording just now. Nice. Let me put the timer for 5 minutes. So you have 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes, complete this question, all of you. Complete the above two questions before 6:10 p.m. We'll be starting the discussion at 6:10. Quickly complete this, all of you. It's an easy question. Those who are done with this question, raise your hands up so I know that you're done. Oh, that's fine. Actually, I also perennially start the meeting because no, Mari is early enough. Others, you all have 2.5 minutes average remaining. Quickly complete these two questions, Roman number three and Roman number four. I'll be starting the discussion afterwards. Okay, time's up. I guess we can start the discussion now. Yes, let's start. So in this question, so we talked about this first Roman number one and two last class, and we are having the continuation now. The use of tween frames in animation allows for smooth transition between keyframes, right? So when you're learning about this grade 11 fourth lesson, animation lesson, there's one part where, so the multimedia lesson, there's one part of multimedia we talked about animations, right? So you know when you learn that lesson, animations are created by a collection of what? To create animation video, you will take a collection of what? Are we correct? As I'm correct. Mariam, there's a special name for that. What's that called? Alpha, there's another name for that. Ashifa, correct? Mark, correct? Mark, correct? Yes. We don't call it as pictures. There's a special name for it. It's called frames, right? So a collection of frames only forms an animation. Okay. So if you take frames, they are basically a kind of picture only, right? So you take multiple frames, and when you put these frames together and play, it'll look like a optical illusion. That's how these animations are formed. Now, there's a special name we give for the start frame and the ending frame, like the main key points, like for example, the starting frame, the ending frame, like wherever there's key movements, the main frames, there's a special name for that. What do you call that as? The start frame or ending frame or the main frames? Exactly. Correct. The start frame or ending frame, we normally call them as the keyframe. And then in between two keyframes, the frames you have in between two keyframes that are mostly auto-generated. What do you call those frames as? Yes, those are called the tween frames. Perfect. Nice. Name a free, okay, let's answer the question based on that. So, name a free software that can be used to create animation. So, in our syllabus, we learned about a software called as Vectorian Giotto. So, let me write that here. Victorian Giotto. So if you wrote this correct, mark it correct and put one mark there. Any questions there? Is there any questions there? Drop in the chat, right? Let's go with the question B. What about 1 and 2? We discussed that last week. The table below lists various tools used in 2D animation software along with their functions. For each tool, match it with a corresponding task and write the task label next to the number. Okay, so you can see there are task labels A, B, C, D and numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 we are supposed to watch. Blank frame, also a tween frame, which is blank, right? No, normally blank frame won't be a tween frame because obviously a tween frame is between two keyframes. No? So there is it's like there is a motion in between, right? So if you take a blank frame, there won't be motion. Blank frame is empty. Right. Okay, let's match it. Used to change the dimension, rotate, or change the shape of the object. Right. To do that, you have to use this tool number 4, which you call the transform tool. What's the use of GIMP? GIMP is used for digital graphics, photo editing. This is like animation. Victorian Giotto is animation, GIMP is photos. And then helps to cut or remove edges, remove shapes or pictures in an irregular selection tool, irregular selection. So if you want to make an irregular selection, remove certain things, then you can use tool number 3, which you call as lasso tool or free lasso tool. We call it free tool as well, but yeah, it's the lasso tool. Used to add text to the workstage. That's the text tool, which is number 1. Used to erase only a section of a creation. It's the eraser tool. Okay. So if you match them correctly, your matchings would be something like this. Let me erase this WhatsApp thing which I wrote here for last class. Yeah. Tell me, should I write 1, 2, 3, 4 first, or should I write A, B, C, D first? As per the question. Should I mention 1, 2, 3, 4 and the answer? Or should I mention A, B, C, D and the answer? What do you think is the correct way? Actually, you're right. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, I mentioned write the task label next to the tool number. Again, that won't be a serious issue. But again, always read the question and answer it correctly. Yeah? So write the task label next to the tool numbers. I wrote the tool numbers, and now I'm going to write the task label. So number 1 is being matched to C. Number 2 is being matched to D. Number 3 is being matched to B. Number 4 is being matched to A. So if you match them correctly, this is how you have to be getting. For everything, put half marks. If your answer is correct, half marks each. Anyone having any questions here? So in terms of the tools, this is called the text tool. This is called the eraser tool. This is called the lasso tool. And this is called the transform tool right in there. Right. Next question. If you have doubts, drop in the chat. Huh? Audacity is a free and open source digital audio creator and recording application software. Explain how would you trim a part from an audio using the below tools. You can use the letter of the labels or above, or you can mention the names of the tools when explaining. Fine. Now, if you take Audacity and let's say you want to trim an audio, okay? So the word trim means you're going to remove a certain part. Okay, keep in mind the word trim means you're going to remove a certain part. So imagine we have an audio clip like this. Let's say I'm drawing here the sound waves. Huh? So let's say there's an audio clip like this. This is how the sound waves are there. And let's say I don't want this portion of the audio. I want to remove this audio. Okay, this part of the audio clip I want to remove, right? So the green portion I want to remove, the remaining part I want to keep, right? So if you're going to remove a part, okay, out of the whole clip, if you want to remove a certain part, you call that process as trimming, okay? So in an audio clip and video clip, you call this trimming, right? Similarly, tell me in a digital graphic, imagine a photo. In an image, if I'm going to remove a certain part and keep only a certain part, what do you call that process as in images? In image, we don't call it as a trim. There's a special name for that in images. Removing a certain part and keeping only a certain part. Yes, perfect. In images, we call them as cropping. Okay, and for audio or video, we don't use the word cropping. For audio and video, if you're going to remove a certain part, what do you call that as? In audio and video? Perfect. In audio and video, we call them as trimming. Nice, correct. So if you want to trim this audio, there are two steps mainly. Step number 1. Let me write this step number 1 killer. So step 1 is you have to select the part you want to remove. Okay. So you have to select the part you want to keep. Okay. Select the part you want to keep. So what I'm going to do is to select the part. Now I'll just zoom this picture. Look at the tool. Tell me which tool you have to use out of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Tell me which tool you have to use to select the part you want to keep. Yes, we're going to use the tool A. User tool A. So using tool A, I'm going to select the part I want to keep, I want to preserve. So say step number 1 is using tool A. Use tool A is called the selection tool. So I'm going to mention using tool A, bracket selection tool. Select the part of the audio that has to be kept, or that is needed. That is kept for you, that has to be kept. And step 2, using click on tool You have to click on the trim tool. Look at these tools and tell me what is the label for the trim tool? Yes. So this is the selection tool, and this is the trim tool. Correct. Okay. J is the trim tool. So what I'm going to do is using tool J. So click on tool J. Click on tool J. Brackets trim tool to trim the audio. Okay. So what I'm going to do is first of all I'll use a tool A, and let's say I want to keep, sorry, I'm going to change the part, that green color. Let's say I want to keep this portion, and I want to remove this portion, and I want to remove this portion. Okay. So I might use the tool J and sorry tool A, and using tool A I might select this portion which I want to keep. After I do that, after I select that, now I'll go and click on tool J. After I click on tool J, what will happen is it will remove that parts, okay, the right side, left side, and it will make the audio look something like this. Okay, left side and right side has been removed. Only that audio which I selected will be present. That's how the trim tool works. Is that clear, all of you? Understood? So keep in mind, to trim an audio, it's not one tool which we are used. We are used two tools. First of all, select the audio you want to keep, and then click on trim tool. Yes, Zaki. He's using Audacity, the textbook. If it's not there in the textbook, will I include that in my questions? Show me one out of the syllabus questions I have. What will K do? K will do the opposite. K will, what it will do is, the selected part is that it will silence the selected part. That means K will remove the selected part and keep the remaining audible. It's the opposite. It's called silence audio tool. This is not there in a syllabus, but this is silence audio. That selected part will be silenced. The unselected part diminishes. Exactly. So this is what happens if you use a trim tool. It will keep what you selected and remove others. Give me a moment, guys. Hello? Okay. Anyone having any other questions here? So that's regarding multimedia. So how the marks is going to be broken down is like this. For mentioning what do you call using tool A. For mentioning tool A, you get 1 mark. For mentioning tool J, you get 1 mark. And for explanation, you get 1 mark. So that's how the 3 marks is going to be broken down. Okay, so like using tool A, select the audio, then click on tool J. If I explain that part, you get 1 mark. For mentioning tool A or selection tool, 1 mark. Mention tool J or trim tool, 1 mark. Based on that, tell me how many marks do you all get out of 5? So not 5, sorry, 1 mark for the A question, 2, 3, 4, sorry, no, 2, 3, 6, 6, 6. Out of 6, how many marks you got? Tell me out of 6 marks, how much do you all get here? Then can we write it in another way, like with the letter K? No, no, no. You're supposed to use the trim tool here, not the silence audio tool. I have just explained. I mean, I have written the tools, but not the letters. That's fine. Either you mention the name of the tool or else the letter, either one of them. I have mentioned both in my answer. You can mention if you want only the label, you can mention only if you want tool A, or you can mention only using selection tool do this, using trim tool do this killer. You can be specific as well. Good. Okay. If there's anyone who has any questions, drop in the chat. Now comes the programming question. Hamna after class, I'll say. Okay, this is a very long question. Let's do piece by piece. It's an easy question. Why is it stuck? Okay, first of all, I'll do the pseudocode. It's stuck, wait. It's blurry, wait. Yeah, let's come for the Roman number two separately. I'll break this question into question by question. Then only I can show you the full question. Let's see what are the important data for you, and then I can crop it. Should you know this? Should you know this? Yes, you should know the whole thing. If I keep like this, cannot see the question. Wait, not like this. Not like this. Wait. If I keep it, is it clear for you all? I mean, cannot do the questions like this. I think you all can zoom and see in your phones and laptops, but can they? In laptop also you can. In the laptop, if those who are in the laptop, in the middle top pixel, you might see something called Yusuf's screen sharing. In that, there might be like a three dots. Click on the three dots, and there'll be option called zoom ratio. In zoom ratio, there's option called 100%, 200% something. From there, you can zoom in my display for the laptop and computer people. Phone people means from your screen itself you can zoom. I'll give you 10 minutes for this. Try doing this. You on the timer? The full question, huh? It's an easy question, don't worry. I'm going to put all of your hands down. Those who are done, you can raise your hands up. Wait. Put your hands down, up. Okay. Those who are done, you can raise your hands up. It's an easy question. Actually, with today, we are over with the semester paper, no? Not bad. We want to draw the diagram. No, you don't have it. You don't have to draw the diagram. For the Roman number one, don't draw the diagram. Just write A, B, C, D, E, F, N, label them. Write the label and what do you mean by the label. Same thing for Roman number two. Just write PQRS and what do you mean by that. Those who are done, raise your hands up. Huh? Can you send the PDF of this? I'll post in the community. Do you want a filled one or unfilled one? I'll post in the group. I'll share the group link. I hope you're there in the paper class community. Paper class. Just make sure you're there in the paper class community. And after class, I'll send both field and unfield both. I have 5 minutes remaining. Quick. In exam, we can do all the questions right in part two, so that they will cut the questions that we got the least marks. As per O levels, that is the I went through the marking scheme that then that was how it was mentioned. But certain teachers have mentioned, like certain pair marking teachers, they tell that normally they sometimes they don't mark all the questions. What they do is they just mark the first 5 questions because you're supposed to do only 5 questions in total. So it's a risk, but technically they have to mark all and give you the uh, marks for the highest ones. I would recommend you to do this the ones you are confident with, and just to skip the ones that you're not confident with. It depends on teacher exactly. Because sometimes if you try to be over smart, it'll be a problem for you. Like there is this Tamil quote. Alavakku meerin amardamum nanji or something like that. Like basically, if you take too much of medicine, even it will become poisonous. I'm very bad at timing, but that's how it. There is a quote like it goes Alavakku mean the amardamum nanji or something. The subtitles of that is basically even if you take too much of medicine, it can lead to poison. My mother used to tell when I eat too much. No, too much sweet is also poison, right? You don't know about that. Amritam means uh, medicine, not Amritam. It's like I'm very bad at Tamil, so I அளவுக்கு மிஞ்சினால் அமுதமும் yeah, whatever. I don't know. Heavenly honey. Heavenly, yeah, but basically that's a sort of medicine. It's paradise drink. Okay, then my bad. It's not medicine. I thought it's medicine all these days. Wow, it's heavenly honey. It seems. I gotta go Tamil classes. Others, you all have 10 seconds remaining. Eight, seven, six, five, four, three, two, one. Let me end this. Stop. Okay. I drank a Panadol after being bored. Where? Yes. Like, let's start. The city of Riverdale has implemented a public transportation system where different bus routes serve different areas of the city. Each bus route has a specific fare based on the distance it covers. The fare schedule is as follows. So they are saying if you're going to go for between 0 to 5 kilometers, the fare is 300, 6 to 10 kilometers, it's 600, 11 to 15 kilometers, 900 kilo they have mentioned. The city wants to develop a kiosk system that allows the passenger to enter the distance they need to travel and find out the fare of their trip. Now, this kiosk system is like your ATM system. Like, for example, if you go for certain supermarkets and all, outside they might have these small system where you can reload and all those stuff. That's what you call this kiosk. Anyways, they given a flowchart here. Complete the flowchart by the missing labels from A to F. Let's see. If you look at the flowchart, you're asking the user to enter the distance, and then based on the distance you're going to make, see, based on the distance your user enters, you're having here multiple conditions. Now, you know this, what do you call this rhombus is used as a condition box. And always the rhombus you all have learned will have two pointers. You might see the rhombus might have one direction for yes and one direction for no. But if you look at this rhombus, it doesn't have yes or no. It has A, B, C, D, E, F killer, not just two options. It's having multiple options like this. Now, based on that, tell me, what do you think is this? What type of statements is this flowchart talking about? Is it talking about if-then else statement? Is it talking about while loop? Is it talking about repeat until loop? Or is it talking about something else? There's a special name. This is not nested if. This is an alternative for nested if. What is the alternative we have for nested if? Yes, this is regarding case statement. This flowchart is about case statement. When you're representing case statement in flowchart, you take the variable you want to measure. Why is it drawing a line here? You take the variable you want to measure inside. So here we're going to see the value of the variable called distance. Okay. Instead of having yes or no, if you notice here what's happening here is we mention the range of values here. Is ABCD is basically representing is is a variable we're checking, is that variable falling in this range, is that variable falling in this range, or is it falling in this range, okay, or none of the above range. So basically A, B, C and E, okay, sorry, A, B and E, which are in blue color, should talk about a range, right? Now they have already given you what is D's range. D is basically talking about 11 to 15, right? Now look at the table and tell me if the fare is going to be 300, what should be the distance range? You can see that A is directing towards fare being 300. No. So look at the table and tell me if the fare is 300, that's talking about which range of distance? Exactly. You can see it's talking about 0 to 5. So instead of A, I'm going to tell A is representing the distance of 0 to. Similarly, tell me this label called B, what is that representing? What should it be representing in that case? Let's say, as example. Yes, we can tell the label B is representing the distance of 6 to 10. Now, if label B is representing 6 to 10, right, tell me what should be represented by C? Is box called C? We can see when label A is representing 0 to 5, we have mentioned inside the boxes, phi is 300. So if label B is representing 6 to 10, if label B is representing 6 to 10, then what should this box C represent? Yes, it should represent that phi is equal to 600. So I'm going to mention that C is representing phi is equal to 600. Now we already know where this box D is coming for. Box D is coming if the range is 11 to 15. So if the range is 11 to 15, what do you think box D has to contain? Exactly. The fare has to be equal to 900. That is what the box D is going to contain. Now we have another box called E. We have a range called E. What do you think the range E is going to represent? Perfect. Range E is going to represent 16 to 20. Now, if E is going to represent the range of 16 to 20, then what do you think that box F is going to represent? Perfect. Box F is going to represent that the fare is equal to 1200. Easy. And we're done with answering that question. Roman number one, that's what they're asking. It's a very easy question. Anyone have any doubts here? I always say programming questions are easy. Even though it looks like a big parampara, nothing is there in this parampara. But actually in Sri Lanka, it's 100 kilometers for 0 kilometers. This is not talking about taxi man. This is talking about bus. Bus, right? Yeah, bus, not three wheel. Okay. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. Huh? Next. Roman number two. A part of the Pascal program. Again, they have mentioned part of the Pascal program. Huh? I mean, I can't believe you gave this easy part. I even as just like how the question is, the marks is also equivalent. So you just get 3 marks here. Basically, you get half marks each. If you get correct, put half marks each. I should have done this. I didn't even dare to read this. That is where I keep my questions. I make easy questions look like hard. I make hard questions look like easy. Wow, I can make a quote like this. Anyways, put your marks, half marks each. Roman number two. A part of the Pascal program corresponding for the program logic depicted in the flowchart has given below. Again, they have mentioned that it is not a full program, just a part of the Pascal program is only given below. Write down the corresponding codings for each of the labels P to S. Right. I will show you the full coding for this program. Okay. Normally, when you're using case statement and writing a program, you'd use the word called case. Okay. So before this statement, I'll just mention what should come, right? You have to first of all, the statement before this has to mention, okay, OP. You have to mention case, and then you have to mention the variable we are going to check here. Okay. Now in this program, tell me what is the variable we are going to check to figure out the distance. In which variable are we storing the distance? The question has the answer. Exactly. In distance variable, we are storing the distance basically. Nothing big. Okay. So you can see there's a variable called distance. No, see here also we are checking distance. So distance is a variable that's going to store the distance. Anyways. So you have to mention first of all the variable you're going to check. So case distance. You mention of. Okay. And then only you mention all your different types of cases. Okay. The first case you're going to check, and based on the first case, you're going to decide if the fare is equal to 300. Again, second case you're going to check. Third case you're going to check. Like this, different case you're going to check. Okay. Now, we know we do, first of all, we are going to mention different. You can mention a single value. You can mention, okay, is distance equal to this scale? You can mention a single value, or you can mention range of value as well. Now tell me, corresponding to our program, tell me, when I'm checking the distance, should I check if the distance is there in a range or if a distance is equal to a specific value? Should I check is the distance a specific value or range? Exactly. If you look at this question, there is nothing called a direct specific value. We are mostly dealing here with range of values, right? Now, this is where the twist comes. If you take Pascal, we are learning Pascal program, if you take Pascal, we don't mention range like this. We don't mention range like this. Instead, we mention 0 and 2 dots and then 5. This is how you mention a range in Pascal. Is that clear all of you? Got it? So to mention the range here, sorry, there was a network issue. Yeah. So what I was saying is, wait, were you all able to listen the part where I said that this way of writing range and this way of writing range is wrong and is only correct? Were you all able to listen that part? Yes, perfect. Okay. So how I'm going to write this is I had mentioned if the range is between 0 to 5, then the fare is equal to 300. Then I mentioned the second range. Now, as per the question, the second range is 6 to 10. So again, the 6 to 10, I'm going to mention like this 6, 2 dots, and 10. So if it's 6 to 10, the fare is going to be 600. So I'm going to mention if it's 6 to 10, fare is going to be 600. The next range, 11 to 15. So if it's between 11 to 15, the fare is going to be 900. And the next one is 16 to 20, fare is 1200. 16 to 20, the fare is going to be equal to 1200. Okay. So answer for question, answer for label P is just this 0 to 5. Like this. Why is it highlighting the whole line? Some idiotic things happening in this PDF. This is the answer for P. And answer for Q is basically the answer for Q is 6 to 10. The fare is 600. No half marks. If your answer is wrong, wrong. And for IR, the answer is this whole thing. Again, no half marks. You write this whole thing which I highlighted here. Semicolon is important. The two dots should be in the ground. Like it should be like two full stops, not a colon. And after 15, there has to be a colon. After fare, there has to be a colon and then equal symbol. So your syntax has to match. Huh? Syntax means like spellings. So if that doesn't match, you don't get marks. So S is being matched with this. So if you got it correct, your marks will be broken down here into half marks each. For 0.5, you get half marks. For this pink color, you get half marks. For this, you get half marks. For this, you get half marks. Now I realize my mistake because I didn't even read the programming question, guessing it's hard, but really it's bitter. See, it's easy. Read. Isha is 7-5. Will you give time to pray? Actually, I thought you all already prayed because Maharib is at 5:55. So I prayed only started the class. If you all want, you can go and pray and watch this part in recording. You haven't mentioned the fair values inside inverted. Actually, this is wrong. You don't mention values inside inverted commas. Wait, is fair going to be a number or is fair going to be a string? If fair is a string, only you mention inside inverted commas. If it is an integer, you have to mention without inverted commas. That's not a big deal. Don't worry. So if you mention that or if you don't mention, it's not going to be a problem because we don't have enough of data. Because in a Pascal program, in the initial, so declaring the variable. If you declare it as string, then yes, you're mentioning inverted commas. But if you had declared it as integer, then without inverted commas only you have to mention. You can ignore that inverted commas, not a big deal. Could you explain why you put the top line case distance of? That's called case statements. You have if then else, right? Just like if then else in Pascal, the alternative for if then else. This is the alternative for if then else is something called case statements. So how you write a case statement is like this: case distance of, and you have to mention end case. So you have to mention end in what you call pseudocode. You mention end case. You here mention end with semicolon, not with what you call the end with full stop, end with semicolon. So this shows the end of this case statement. So before the line P, this case distance of will normally come, right in the Pascal program. What is syntax? Syntax means spellings, something like that. Should the first letter be capital or we can write fair like this? Actually, I'd write the fair in simple because you can see here they are displaying the fair of it. Here they are displaying the value of fair. Here also they are defining the value of fair. So here and here, if they use simple letters, that means the variable used in the program, the variable declared in the program is simple if. So because the question is because the program is using the variable of simple if, in your answer also you have to use simple if. So these are all simple ifs, huh? Got it? Those who are going to pray or can go and pray and come. I'll be continuing because you had time to pray before class start. Okay, so put half marks there. Next, the one before the last question. This is where it gets hard. No, it's easy. Variable, constants, and arrays are used to store data within a program. Correct. Write down a difference between a variable, constant, and array. So you can write like this. Roman number 3. You can mention variables are used to store a single data under an identifier temporarily. But arrays are used to store multiple data under a single identifier temporarily. And constants are used to store data here. You can add the word here after temporarily, that can be modified. Temporarily, that can be modified within the program. Same thing here. That can be modified within the program. And constants are used to store data that cannot be modified throughout the program. So in your explanation, the key words you are mentioned are these. Okay. You are mentioned that variables, it's used for single data, and arrays is used for multiple data. 1 point. Okay. You mentioned variables are used to store single data. Arrays are used to store multiple data under common name. That's first thing. Second thing is variables and arrays you are mentioned, both of their data can be modified. Can be modified, can be modified. But constants, their data cannot be modified throughout the program. Okay. So your marks breakdown will be like this. If you mention this about single data and multiple data here, you get 1 mark. If you mention can be modified, and cannot be modified, you get 1 mark. And actually 1.5 marks, 1.5 marks. Okay. Variables are used to store data which can be changed the data. You will tell the comparison. If you only about variable, you don't get marks. You mention variable, and here if you notice here, in this first one which I'm doing here, I'm comparing variables and arrays in this point. In this point, if it can be modified, I'm comparing variable arrays with variables and arrays with constants. Yeah. That single data, multiple data, for that, what will come for constant one? It's like this. If I'm going to summarize it, let's take I have variable here, constant here, and array here. Let me draw this like a table, then you'll understand better. The factors I'm talking here about are based on this. I'm talking about modification. Through again, modification, not in the overall, just modification throughout the program. Variables you can modify, arrays you can modify, but constants you can't modify. That's the first 1 point I was talking about. Second point is regarding the number of values. Variables can store only one value under an identifier. Constant can store only one value. Arrays can store many values. What I mean by that is, let's say there's a variable called x. If the variable is x, I can say x equals 5. Then x equals 6. And if I say display x, what do you think is going to get displayed? Is it 5 or is it 6? If x is a variable, what do you think is going to get displayed in this program? Exactly. And this program is ending, it's going to display 6, right? It's going to display 6. Because what happens here is, initially you're saying the value of x is 5. Then x equals 6. You're modifying the value of x. You're saying now change the value of x as 6. So when I say display x, what is going to get displayed is the latest value, which is actually 6. So output of this program is going to be 6. So we look at this program. At a time, a variable can store only one value, only one number it can store. On the other hand side, if you take a constant, let's know here I have to use x as a variable. No, if x is a constant, first thing what will happen is in this when you're running this program, this line, you'll be getting an error here. The error you'll be getting is saying that the value of a constant cannot be modified. Okay, the error you're going to tell is the error you're going to get is the value of a constant cannot be modified. That's the first thing. Second thing is the display x. What is it going to display? If x is a constant, yes. If x was a constant, it will display 5. Why? This line did not execute. That line will not execute. So keep in mind, if there's in a program, if there is a identify means like A, B, C, or let's say X, Y, Z, fair, distance, like you use fair, distance, these names what you call as identify, right? If it identifies a variable, then the values can be changed. So let's say X is a variable, you can change, and you can go like that. But if X is a constant, and if you do this, here you will be getting errors. The values cannot be modified if X is a constant. Okay. Tell me, are you clear now? Difference between a variable and a constant, all of you. Got it? It will be something like this. This is not Pascal. Just you can look at this one if you want. How to differentiate? We will be mentioning in the front. Now, normally by default, if you have X, it's a variable. If it's a constant, we will mention as const scalar. Okay. So let's say I'm going to mention a const X equals 5 and print X. Let's see if it's working const. Or I'll go with JavaScript. Let me go with JavaScript. Okay. So I'm going to mention here const X equals 5. Actually, in Pascal, we mentioned in the top in the variable declaration section. So let's say console.x5. 5 got displayed. Now, if I mention here x equals 6, this should give me an error, but because I'm not using const, it can get varied. It's giving me an error. See, assignment to constant variable, right? Let's say I put const here front below. Still, I'll be getting an error. See, identify x has already been declared. Declared means given a value. So if it's a constant, it can be given a value only once. But let me remove this word called const here. Remove const here, remove const here. Now if I run the program, it's giving me 6. Okay, because by default, it will consider as x as a variable. Or I can write here var as well. Var means variable. Now also, it will work properly. Okay, this is a different programming language, so forget about the part. Just focus on what I'm talking like about variables and constant idea. Okay, so keep in mind, if it's a variable, you can change the value. So x equals 5, then you can say x equals 6, and you can display x. It'll display 6. But if x is a constant, if you say x equals 5 and then x equals 6, you'll be getting error here. Is that clear of you? Understood? The difference between variable and constant? Okay. So normally if you take a variable, it's used to store only one value. But if you take, let's say, array, you can store more than one value. So if I take x equals 5 as a variable, it can just store only one value. But if it's going to be an array, what I can do is I can store multiple value. And how I do that is I use something called as an index or a position. So I take the data x. In square brackets, I'll be mentioning the index like x0. So x0 equals 5. x1 equals, let's say 7. X2 equals, so same name but different position skill I'm using here. Let's say equals 80. Now if I print X, print array X. I have to print the respective index. So if I print X0, why is it giving me an error? X0, X1, X2. Oh wait, it's a list. So I had to mention it in um, I had to use inverted comma. But if it's inverted comma is for int string, all right, I have to first of all tell that X is an array. So let me first of all tell that X is array. This is because of Python. So let's say I'm telling X is an array, then it should work. Yeah. Okay. So that's an issue in Python, but ignore the line number one. But you focus on line number two. Basically, what I'm doing here is I'm declaring the array, right? That means I'm telling in the first position. You can see under the name X, I'm storing multiple values. Huh? So you can see, let me show here the last another value here. Okay, let's say I'm going to store here the value of 9. Now what happens here is, this is called position 0, this is called position 1, this is called position 2, and this is called position 3. And if you look at the program, tell me I am modifying the values of position. What is the which position I'm not modifying the value. If you look at this program, in which position can you see I'm not modifying the initial value. These are the initial values. Which position am I not modifying? So you can see the position number 0 I'm modifying, fine. Position 1 I'm modifying. Position 2 value also I'm modifying. So which position am I not modifying? 3. So if you look at this program properly, when I say print 0, without printing 0, it's printing number 5, right? Let's go and print 3. Okay. When I say print 3, see it's printing 9 because number 9 is then position number 3. Let's say if I go and modify the value of that, modify that, I'm going to use this. Position 3, the value is going to be, let's say 100. Now if I run the program, it's printing 100. So this was the initial value. I'm modifying the value here. And again, if I put print X, it will print the whole array, the updated value of X. See, earlier X was like this, 0009. Now X is like this, 5780. So if you look at this under the name called X, I'm storing multiple values together. So you call that as array. You call them list array, both are same. We call this concept as an array. But if you take a variable, you can't do this. A variable can store one value. Array can store more than one value. And how it does is, it stores in every index a specific value. So this is index 0. So this is the meaning of how you read this: array X index 0, array X index 1, array X index 2. So the main difference between a variable and array is, array can store multiple values like this you can see here, but a variable can store only one value. Tell me, are you clear about the difference between an array and variable? Okay, nice. So that's going to be your explanation. What would be the distance entered by Amal if the fare displayed by the kiosk was 600? So if the fare gave him 600, what do you think Amal's distance should be? Hmm? Exactly. Can we give an exact value for his answer? Like it's correctly 6 kilometers, 7 kilometers, 8 kilometers, 9 kilometers. Can we give exact value? No. But if you look at the question, 600 comes in this range. So you can say, if you just mention 6 to 10, and if you just mention 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, 10 without a range, it's wrong. Huh? So your answer should be a distance between 6 to 10 kilometers. Okay, a distance between 6 to 10 kilometers. Or distance from 6 to 10. Actually, between 5 to 11, yes. Because 6 and 10 is between 5 and 11. But you can mention between 6 to 10 also correct. Between 5 to 11 is also correct. That's English error. Actually, to be more precise, it should be between 5 to 11. Yeah. Let's give marks only for 5 to 11. A distance between 5 to 11. Okay. So if your answer had this word called between 5 to 11 kilometers, then why? Because if you say 6 to 10, you say a distance from 6 to 10. If you mention the word 6 to 10, then you have to mention actually from 6 to 10. Because from 6 to 10 kilometers. But when you use the word between, we are talking the characters. You will be, but don't worry, if it's exam, you'll get marks for both. If you don't have between just 6 to 10, then you'll get marks. For today, I'll give marks for both 5 to 11 and 6 to 10. But always keep in your mind about the English you use. Huh? Because technically, if his range is 6 to 10 and if it's going to be 600, then when you're writing in a sentence, you're to mention saying that if the distance traveled by him is between 5 to 11 kilometers. Because between 5 to 11 only you get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So here I'll give both the marks, but the most precise marks is between 5 and 5 to 11. So your marks here is going to be 2 marks for that. So if you look at these questions, you get 2 marks there. And for this array differentiating 3 marks or 5 marks, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, out of 10 marks, how many marks you'll get here? Can you explain again why 5 to 11? Okay, now let's say there are 3 people standing here. Person A, person B, person C, person D. If I ask you, how many people are there between A and D? What's your answer? And I say, how many people are there between A to D? What's your answer? Exactly. Between A to D, there are 2 people. But if I ask you, how many people are there from A to D? Then your answer is going to be 4 people. Okay. So same idea here as well. When you say between 6 to 10, the numbers you have between 6 to 10 are 7, 8, and 9. But as per the program, even 6 is, if your distance travel is 6 kilometers, even if your distance travel is 10 kilometers, for both of them also, the fare is 600. So as per English, okay, when you say between 6 to 10, it's wrong. You have to either from 6 to 10 or between 5 and 11 or between 5 to 11. Does that make sense? Hopefully, Rahim. Once I typed the message, I realized I'm not in maths class. I put too much effort, so I must say. I took 300 as first 5 kilometers and divided the 600 by 5. Wait. Did the question tell about that something? About first 5 kilometers, blah, 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 kila? Why? Is the question asking about what will distance entered by Amal? Yeah, no. As per the program, we don't have that part, that first 5 kilometers. This is not that, you have done this question like this one, man. Income tax for questions in maths you get. Look at the program, man. Is it happening like that in this flow chart? Follow the question. Then just 16, yeah, just 16 is also fine, but better mention between between 5 and 11 or from 6 to 10. Yes, exactly. Okay, so yeah, with that, actually, we're done with the semester paper which I made for you all. It was easy paper. Actually, out of all the questions, programming was the easiest question I gave you. And this was also to be fine. What's an identifier? Identify something we use to identify a variable or identify a constant. Like it's your name. Like for example, to identify you, I might use your name. Like look, Man Abdul Rahim Zaid. I use your name, bro. So you're the identifier. Similarly, in this program, you can see to identify the value of fare. How much is the fare? I'm using a variable called fare. So this is identifier. This fare is the identifier. Then to know what you call to store the value of distance, I'm using a variable called distance. So this name is the identifier. So like identify is a name we give for that jar, which is going to hold the value. Got it? It's like the name of what. Now, for example, if you have here, let's say x equals 5 and y equals 7, the two identifiers I've used is x and y. X is holding the value 5, y is holding the value 7. So these are identifiers. Got it? Okay. So with that, we're actually done with the paper, with this paper, and we're going to go for a new paper. But before I go for the new paper, do you all have any questions? Or improve, but okay. Anyways, right. Let me take the hot paper now. Himad coming soon. Wait, where did I store the paper? Papers. Save. Right. This is a very brand new paper which was done in a school few days back. Um, let's do the 7:20 minutes. So then 10, 30 minutes. 5 minutes. I'll give you for 5 minutes, 5 questions. Okay. Do only the first 5 questions. Huh? I'll give you 5 minutes. Do the first 5 questions. Let me put the timer. Will the oral paper be easier than yours? Most probably. Because my paper is the paper I gave you now is a provincial paper standard, like term test paper standard. If you compare term test papers and provincial papers, normally provincial papers are harder than term test. It depends on the province, but yeah. If you're getting more marks, always focus on the top-notch marks, like above average. Pick only the first 5 questions, huh? You'll have 1 minute more. Yes, on the. Okay, time up. Let's start marking your answers now. Explain the term disk formatting using a hard disk as an example. Okay. Now, when you say disk formatting, what majority of us think is that formatting means cleaning the data or erasing the data. Keep in your mind, in disk formatting, this is coming under the operating system lesson, grade 10. In disk formatting, formatting is not the, what you call erasing of the data is not the main part. It's like a byproduct. The main part of formatting is where you're creating or making the hard disk usable, making the hard disk usable by segmenting the storage into, by segmenting the storage into multiple memory units. Let me explain this. Okay. All of you all know what do you mean by wardrobe, right? Or let's say a cupboard. You know what is a wardrobe or a cupboard, right? Now, this is how your cupboard might look like, right? In your cupboard, let's say there might be, let's say there is a door. I'm going to ignore the door, but inside there will be shelves. There are shelves. So in these shelves, only you might go and place your clothes or whatever. Now imagine a cupboard, imagine your wardrobe. If I remove these shelves, can you store your clothes inside properly? Like properly, unless you're going to dump everything inside. Can you organizedly, can you store your clothes properly without those shelves? Yes, you can't organize it. You can't store your data. You can't store your clothes properly with all the shelves. So what do you do? When you're buying your wardrobe, when you're buying a cupboard, we don't buy the empty cupboard. Okay, the cupboard will also have some shelves in it. And what you can do is you can keep your clothes all very neatly organized in those shelves like this. You can keep your clothes inside the shelves. Similarly, when you buy a hard disk, even though your hard disk have full amount of space, by default you can't just go and store all you can't just dump the data inside. Okay, depends on the operating system, right? So what you do is we normally separate the whole space into something called as memory units. The whole space is separate memory units. Normally one memory unit you can modify it based on your requirement, but normally memory unit will be around 4 KB. Again, it depends on the computer, depends on the operating system, and again you can modify it as well. But normally if you take your hard disk, when it's formatting, it will segment the whole space into these multiple memory units. And again, you can't see it, you can't physically see that okay there are partitions like this, right? You can't physically see that there is these small blocks of data, right? But within behind the scene, actually there are these types of small memory units to store your data in a more organized manner. Got it? It's the allocation size, right? Not allocation size. Because size is already allocated when you're buying the hard disk. Buying the hard disk, you have 4 GB, 8 GB, blah, blah, blah. In formatting, what you do is you break that whole space into these multiple memory units. Okay. And if you take Windows operating system and most of the famous operating system, Without doing formatting, you can't use your hard disk. So normally, buying the hard disk itself, the behind the scenes, this formatting is already done. Okay, but what's happening is, imagine taking a cupboard and making multiple shelves in it. Is that clear, all of you? In your syllabus, you don't have this word called memory units. I'm just giving you the extra knowledge. But yeah, so every time you format, it will break down even more. No. Every time you format, what it will do is, I said it's a one byproduct of formatting is cleaning data now. Because again, if you go and format, it will remove all these partitions. It will remove all this. It will remove all these what do you call segments, and again it will reformat it. Okay, it will reallocate that space. That's why when you reallocate the space, the data is being cleaned. Imagine you have the cupboard, and you want to again put the shelves. You want to put new shelves. Let's say, how do you put new shelves when the clothes is there in the cupboard itself? Can you put the new shelves? Let's say your shelf is very ugly. You want to change the shelves. Okay, while the clothes is there itself, will you change the shelves? No, you will remove that shelf. So you remove that shelf, even the clothes are being removed, and you put the new shelves, right? So you put the new shelves now, but you're going to put the new shelves now. The automatically the clothes is lost. Why? When you took the old shelf out, you took it with the clothes. What is deformatting? There's nothing called deformatting. That's I think referring to fragmentation, defragmentation. It's a different story. Right. So that's regarding formatting. As they have said to take hard disk as an example, can we explain by drawing a diagram? No. When you say using hard disk example, because you can format a pen drive, you can format memory card. That's why they're asking to be talking about hard disk. In hard disk, what happens is by formatting only you can make the hard disk usable. So if you mention that making the hard disk usable, you get 1 mark. And if you say by breaking it down into multiple memory units or segmenting it to multiple units, okay, or any other synonyms for this, segmenting the storage into multiple memory units, or any other synonyms if you mention, you get 1 mark. So total 2 marks. For mentioning making the hard disk usable, 1 mark, and for talking about breaking down into memory units, you get another marks. Is it clear, all of you? Are logical drives and memory units different? Yes, logical drives are partitions. I said you can't see formats. When it's formatted, you can't physically see it. If you want to see it, you can see it through your CMD. Like if you go in your computer, there's something called CMD. In your CMD, you can see it. You can do it by mentioning that code is. Let me check this first. WMIC. From your CLI, you go for checking terminal. forgot the coding exactly. It's called CHKDSK. Yes, I think it's CHKDSK. CHKDSK. Access denied. Let me say in terminal. CHKDSK. Let me do as open as admin. Right click, run as administrator. Yes. Okay, this is running as administrator. CHKDSK. The type of, okay, here it will show. It's scanning my hard disk now. Once it's done scanning, you can see how many memory units I have in my hard disk, and each memory unit versus storage scale it will show. In total, in my hard disk, I have around 1,713,664 memory units. Still calculating. I don't divide the hard disk in different storage units. That's called partitioning. So that's wrong. Okay, this is taking time. It's scanning my whole hard disk. I'll continue with the question and let's come back and see in a while is it done. Okay, let me just keep this aside. Memory unit and storage unit are same. Memory unit and storage units. If it is logical units is different. Some are the same. Okay, so this is what formatting is. Once it's because yeah, once it's done, I'll show you the whole thing. It's still progressing. I'll just keep that aside. Once it's done, I'll show you. But tell me, you'll understand what this formatting is, all of you. Again, keep in mind the data being clean is not the main part of formatting. It's a side effect of formatting. Huh? Is that clear, all of you? Got it? Okay. So if you mention these 2 points, give your marks respectively. Next, express 0.2 petabytes in megabytes. Okay. Now, for this, you have to know the storage units. Let me just take a separate paper so that I can write the answer here. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, go for a fresh page. Okay. So when I talk about memory units, okay, like to measure data, you start from bits and go on increasing to bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes, and petabytes. Okay. The question is talking about 0.2 petabyte. We had answer 0.2 petabyte. We have to convert this to megabytes. That was the question. Now keep in your mind for this what you call units conversion, a small trick what you can keep in your mind is whenever you're going down, okay, imagine that in a company you're getting demoted. Whenever you're getting demoted, your salary increases or I mean does the salary get multiplied or does the salary get divided? In a company, if you're getting demoted, if you're going down, does the salary get multiplied or does the salary get divided? Exactly, it gets divided. Similarly, in a company, if your position increases, if you're going to go up, does the salary get multiplied or does the salary get divided? If you're going up. Yes, if you're going up, it's going to multiply. So keep these two things in your mind. And what you can do is to convert from petabyte terabyte multiply by 1024. For everything, it's going to be 1024. Only where you get this word called bits, it's 8. For others, all it's 1024, 1024, 1024. So basically, if you want to convert from petabytes to terabytes, see, I'm going up now. So if I'm going up one, I have to multiply by 1024. For everything 1024, only for bits. If you come across the word bits, keep in mind we're talking about 8, right? So to convert from PB to MB, first of all, you have to convert this PB value to TB. Then you have to convert this TB value to GB. And then only you can convert this GB value to MB. These are progress. To convert from petabyte to megabytes, you have to figure out you have to convert it to terabytes, and that way you have to convert to gigabytes. That's the progress, right? Now to convert from petabytes to terabytes, what should I do? What should I do here? Should I multiply or should I divide? If multiplying, multiply by how much? Yes, I had to multiply by 1024. Correct. And then to convert from terabytes to gigabytes, what should I do? What should I do here to convert from TB to GB? Again, multiply by 1024. And then to convert from GB to MB, what should I do? Perfect. Again, multiply by 1024. So I can find the answer by taking the PB value. In the question, what was the amount of PB? Number of PBs we had? Perfect. It was 0.2 PB. Now to convert this to terabyte, okay, to convert this terabyte, I'm going to multiply by 1024. I'm done with this. To convert it to what you can after you convert terabytes, to convert it to gigabytes, again I have to multiply by 1024. Now I'm done with this. To convert the gigabytes to megabytes, again I have to multiply by 1024. This will give me the answer in MB. Okay. So the reason I multiplied here 1024, why is it give me that line? To multiply, I multiply here 1024 to convert from petabytes to megabytes. Sorry, petabytes to terabytes. I multiplied here by 1024 to convert from terabytes to gigabytes. And I again multiplied here by 1024 to convert from gigabytes to megabytes. Is that part clear of you? It's not exactly because just think that if you're going up, you multiply. Now you just have to solve it. So 0.2 I can write as 2 divided by 10. 1024 I can write as 2 to the power 10. 1000 if I can write as 2 to the power 10. 1000 if I can write as 2 to the power 10. Right? So I can mention this as 2 to the power 1 into 2 to the power 10 into 2 to the power 10 into 2 to the power 10. I can directly mention like this as well. Let's make it very simplified. Because this is maths. So 0.2 into 2 to the power 30. You can keep your answer like this, or you can write your answer as 2 to the in a 2 to the power manner as well. Is that clear, of you? You can keep your answer like this as well. Huh? You can keep your answer like this as well. So that is simplification is not compulsory, right? As long as you have done this process, you get the marks. Is that clear, of you? So even if you have written something like this, you'll be getting marks. You don't have to simplify it. You can simplify any way you want, but your Again, MB is also not important, but better write the MB. If you do that, you get 2 marks. Is that clear, all of you? Don't write the long answer in 4 million, blah, blah, blah. Unwanted. Keep your answers small as possible. Because you have the maths exam. So 0.2 into 2 to the power 30 MB. That's the answer for this question. Is it wrong if you write like that? 99% of the chance they might not give you marks because it's very hard for humans to calculate such a large number. So if you got that number, that means you surely would have used a calculator. So because of that, they might cut the marks. In your exam paper, you can't do so big calculations. It's impossible. It's impossible means it is practically impossible. Not that it's not possible in reality, but practically it's impossible. So that's why they might be like, okay, this bug would have used calculator and cut the marks. But again, they are supposed to give you marks. Next, name 2 features of command line interface. What are the answers you all wrote? Command line interface. So you have 2 types of interface. One is the command line interface and graphical user interface, right? So command line interface was the black and white one. So you can mention one main factor you can mention is comparatively faster. Comparatively fast. Then you can mention not beginner friendly. That means for a small person, the first time you're going to use it, it will be difficult for you to adopt. So not beginner friendly. So in terms of storage space, you can say consumes less memory. Consumes less memory because there is no graphics involved. It consumes less memory. And then you can mention requires command knowledge or requires command prompt knowledge to use. Now, for example, a while ago I showed you that this one, this bugger. Here, this is a command prompt. I wrote here command called chkdsk, tamega running. Okay. So, what do you call now to do this? With all that, I forgot the command. I was again thinking, then I figured out. But if you don't know this command, you can't easily figure. You can't get your work done. But if it's a graphical user interface, there is no commands name. You just go and click, 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 and you can figure out where you want to go. Right. So that's another answer you can mention. Single user, single tasking. Most of the command line interfaces are single task, correct? Single user, I'm still thinking. Are there any multi-user CLIs? Single task is correct, but single user, I will check that in Google. But single task, correct. Single task OS. Or I can mention cannot multitask. Cannot multitask. I think I answered all of your questions there. Have to use correct syntax, correct. That comes under requires command prompt knowledge. Compare fast. Okay, that I mentioned. Works according to prompts I mentioned. Yeah. Okay. So you can mention any of these answer. And the question is asking how many answers? 2 features. So if you mention for 2 features, every feature you get 1 mark. Huh? Total 2 marks. Question 3. Give 2 features of the assembly language. Right. When you take programming languages, you can categorize programming language mainly into 2 categories. What are the main 2 categories? When you take programming languages, you can categorize them mainly into 2 categories. What are the 2 categories? Imperative declarative is coming under program paradigms. That is the way you write the code. But programming languages, mainly you can categorize them as low-level programming language and high-level programming language. Okay. The main difference between low-level and high-level is low-level programming languages, they are like close to the computer. They're very bonded with the computer. But high-level programming languages, they are not very closely bonded with the computer. Okay. In between, they need a person. They can't directly communicate with the computer. They need a person in between most of the time. Okay. So, but that is not only the factor. There are other factors as well. The main point is it's not closer, right? So if you take low-level programming languages, there are two examples we have. The two examples we have are machine language and assembly language. For high-level programming language, you have many examples of Python, then Pascal, PHP. There are several programming languages. Okay. Now, one thing to keep in a low-level programming language, I said they're very bonded with the computer now. So because of that, if you write a program in assembly language or machine language, whatever low-level language, if I write a program for one computer, I can't copy the same program for another computer. So for every computer I'm writing a program, I had to rewrite the whole program or I had to do some modifications. You can't copy the same thing here, here, here. All three computers will have three different programs. Okay. So in that case, there is a name for this feature that for every computer, you have to write separate programs. If you have to do this, there's a special name for this. What do you call that as? It's machine something. But let's see if I can remember. Am I correct? The program I write for one computer, it can't be copied to another computer. Rihan, correct? It's called machine dependent. So the program you write is dependent on that machine you wrote it for. So if I write one program here, for this another program I had to write, I have to do modifications, and here another modifications I had to do. Okay. So one thing you can tell about low assembly language is it is machine dependent. Second, tell me, can the can the computer understand assembly language directly without any translations? No, it has to be translated. What do we use to translate it? What is the language translator we use to translate it? Correct, assembler. So has to be translated using assembler in order to be executed. In order to be executed. So without converting, the computer will not understand assembly language, right? So that machine dependent has to be translated using assembler. You can also mention other factors you can mention is comparatively fast. But the question is asking only two, right? Yeah. So these are the main two features of assembly language. Is that clear of you? So if I mention these two, 1 mark for this and 1 mark for this. Mentioning assembler is a keyword here. So that's how you do the question number 4. I like this paper. One student told me, sir, I have a paper that's harder than yours. Killer. Nice. Other features you can tell, like I told a while ago, it's faster than high-level programming languages. And compared to machine language, there are words used. So, others are not very key features, just dupper features. Mainly these two are the main features. Question number 5. Draw the truth table for the logical circuit given here. Okay, let's do it. First thing said, if you want to draw the truth table, you should know what are the inputs you have. Look at the whole program and tell me what are the inputs you can see. Look at the whole logic here and tell me what are the inputs you can see in this circuit. Input symbols you can see in this circuit. Yes, there are two inputs. What are those two inputs? Yes, it is C and D. So for my truth table I draw, I'd have one column called C and one column called D. Okay, one column called C, one column called D. Now, after I write the inputs, I'm going to now start writing all the outputs one by one. Let's take this first gate, which you can see here. Or let's take the NOT gate you can see here. What is the output of this NOT gate, which you can see here? Yes, it's going to be C dash. So I'm going to have another column called C dash because input was C means output is going to be C dash. Correct. Then we have OR gate here. What's going to be the output of this OR gate? Perfect. The OR gate is going to give you C plus D because you can see one of the input is C, one of the input is D. OR gate symbol is plus, so that output is going to be C plus D. So I have another column called C plus D. Then the final gate you have there, the AND gate. For this AND gate, the input we have from the top is C dash. The input we have from the bottom is C plus D. Always have the habit when the input has more than one character. Now you can see the input that's come from the bottom, it has more than one character. So if it has more than one character, have the habit of putting a brackets. So C dash dot C plus D. I put dot here because AND gate. AND gate, we use a dot to represent it. So I'm going to mention here C dash dot C plus D in brackets. So now to draw the truth table, what I did is I first of all wrote all the inputs, then I wrote all the outputs. Okay, so only these two are inputs, others all are outputs. Now you can easily figure out the number of columns, number of rows. If there are two inputs, you can figure out the number of rows using this formula. Now, number of rows is equal to 2 to the power of number of inputs. Look at this truth table and look at this circuit and tell me how many inputs are there, main inputs. Hima, there's a reason why I wrote it. There are two inputs. So I'm going to mention here 2. So 2 to the power 2 equals 4. That means this specific truth table will have 4 rows. So the first step you do is figure out the number of rows. That's easy. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now my truth table has 4 rows. Now you start off with the right side corner input. So in my right side corner input here is D. Just go in this pattern of 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. Just go in that pattern until the last row you have. Now you move on to the next input. Next input, double it. So here 2 zeros, 2 ones, 2 zeros, 2 ones like that. If you have another row, so if you have another column, again you double it to 4 zeros, 4 ones, something like that. Another column 8081. Just double it, double it, double it. Okay, double it. So here 0, double of 0 is 2. Sorry, double of 1 is 2. So right, you can see right side corner column, I put 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. Next column, 2 zeros, 2 ones, 2 zeros, 2 ones. Next column, if I have another input, 4 zeros, 4 ones. That's how the pattern goes. Up to here, I will clear all of you. How I fill the truth table. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. Okay. Now C dash means the opposite of C. So when C is 0, this is going to be 1. When C is 0, this is going to be 1. When C is 1, this is going to be 0. When C is 1, this is going to be 0. Just the opposite of C. Okay, C dash. Now C plus D means you're going to compare the value of C and you're going to compare the value of D using OR gates logic. Okay. Why not 3 zeros and 2 ones? You will never get 5. You will never get odd numbers. Not 3 ones. That's not double number. That's a shortcut. It's not a method. But I said here 0, 1, 0 is a shortcut. Okay. The correct method is to make sure that all of them, you're going to figure out all the possible scenarios. If you look at this, all of them are unique. You can never see again where 0 is, C is 0 and D is 0. You will never see in this table where C is 0 and D is 1. You'll never see in this table where C is 1 and D is 0. These are all unique instances. We call them as instances. So if there are 2 inputs, there are only 4 possible instances. So what I've done here is the instances. The shortcut to figure out these instances, I told you the 0, 1, 0, 1 method. What are the situations where we can use 4 zeros and 4 ones? 4 zeros and 4 ones mean there are 18. There are 3 inputs. 2 to the power 3. If there are 3 inputs, A, B, C, then there will be 4 zeros and 4 ones. Because this will have 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is double. And this is double of that. 4 zeros, 4 ones, like this. Got it? So when there's 3 inputs, you get 4 zeros and 4 ones. Anyways, so C plus D, if you take that one, it works OR gates logic. OR gates works in such that if any of the inputs are true, output is true. Or if any of the input is 1, output 1. Is any of the input 1 here? No. So I'm putting 0. If any of the input 1 here in the second one, yes. Is any of the input 1 in the third one? Yes. Is any of the input 1 in the fourth one? Yes. Okay. So what I did is I check in the output, sorry, input, is any of these input 0? Sorry, if any of the input 1. You can see none of them as 1. Is any of the input 1? Yes, D is 1. That's why I mentioned 1 here. Here I come and check, is any of the input 1? Yes, C is 1. So I mentioned 1 here. Is any of the input 1? Both are 1. So I mentioned 1 again here. That's how I'd fill that column. Okay. That's using the AND gates OR gates logic. The last column you go, we're going to use the AND gates logic. You can see plus, so dot. Dot means AND gates logic, no? For the AND gates logic, you can see one of the input is C dash, which is this column. Other input we have is C plus D, which is this column. So I'm going to compare these two columns. Okay, I'm going to compare these two columns using AND gates logic. Now, AND gate work in such that only if all the input is true, or else only if all the inputs are 1, output is 1. Is all the inputs 1 here in the first instance? C dash and C plus D are both all the inputs 1? No. Look at the second instance here and tell me, are all the inputs 1 here? Yes. If you look at this fellow, you can see all the inputs are 1. Look at the third instance and tell me, is all the inputs 1? No. So I'm going to mention 0 here. Look at the last one and tell me, are all the inputs 1? Again, no. So your final truth table is going to be looking something like this. Is that clear all of you? Understood how I found the answer? Yes or no? So that's the answer there. So how your marks will be broken down is for getting this column correct. Sorry, for mentioning these two columns correct. That means for figuring out all the possible scenarios, all the possible unique instances. Okay, you get 1 mark. If these two columns are correct, you get 1 mark. And for the respective input, if you found the respective output, meaning when both the inputs are 0, you're getting 0 here. When both the inputs are, whenever C is 0 and D is 1, getting 1 here. When C is 1 and D is 0, getting 0 here. Likewise, if a last column is matching your input, you get 1 mark here. So this is how your marks is broken down. So mark your answer and tell me now, for this paper, out of 5 marks, how many marks did you all get? Drop in the chat your answers, your marks. Good. For BB question, how much? 2 marks. Sorry, not out of 5 marks, out of 10 marks, because you have 2 marks each, no? Out of 10 marks, how much marks you got? It's 2 marks I gave for each question. Out of 10 marks, how many marks you'll get? Okay, good job. So yeah, with that, we're going to stop today. The next few questions will be due next week. Those who have any questions, still you can stay and ask. Others, if you understood everything, you can leave. Anyone having? Yeah, I have dragged half an hour. I didn't see the time. Oh, nothing new, anyways. Anyone having any question? Sahira, you're talking about the yesterday's or Tuesdays? Can you explain the question, second one? The unit conversion one? I'll send it now, but last warning, huh? Both of you all missed the class yesterday. Grade 11 second term. Let me check. Will I get the tube before tomorrow's class? Did you get the SMS that your tube is dispatched? Because there was, I think, 20 tubes which are not dispatched because there was a stock issue. Just now I got the tubes. See, some new tubes have come just now. These are a bit bright actually. And yeah, so your tubes will be dispatched tomorrow. If you did not get it, I think one set will get the tube, I think, the day after. One set might get after. Yes, paper is marked. Semester paper is marked. It's not updated. Okay, let me come back to will you put perfumes for this? This one was not packed by me. So because it was not packed by me, you will not have that. It was packed by the academy staffs. So it'll come like this answers to this time. Anyways, let me answer Zara's question. Zara, this one, right? Express 0.2 PB in megabytes. This one, right? Okay. So first thing you should know regarding to do that question, the first thing you should know is regarding the what do you call the measuring units, right? To measure data, the smallest unit we have is bits, and bits means one binary digit. Okay, because normally you take about computers, always deal with binary, and the word bits means one binary digit. Okay, and then if you take these measuring units, we start from bits, and we have something called bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes. We have several units. Now, if you're going to figure out the relationship in between them properly, it goes something like this: like one byte is equal to 8 bits. Okay, 1 kilobyte is equal to 1024 bytes. This is how you have the measuring units. Now, if you're going to buy hard this, it might be a bit difficult. So, short form I have for that is keep in your mind for everything we're going to do a calculation using 1024. But only if you come across this name called bits, whether it's something to bits or bits to something. Whenever you come across the word bits, keep in mind we have to use 8. But for the remaining ones, keep in mind we have to use the number 1024. Okay, that's the first thing to keep in mind. Second thing to keep in mind is when we are going up, we are going to multiply, and when we are going to go down, we are going to divide. So if you notice here, the question asked us to represent 0.2 petabytes in megabytes, right? So for me to go from PB Why is writing book today playing the fool? Anyways, for me to go here from PB to MB, it's here. Am I going up or am I going down to go from PB to MB? Look at this and tell me. I'm going up. And if you notice from PB to MB, it's not a direct jump. In between, there are two other peoples I have to meet as well. So what should exactly be done is, first of all, I have to convert. Let me raise these parts. So if I want to convert this value to MB, first of all, I have to convert the number of PB I have. Okay, I have to first of all convert it to TB because that bug is only there exactly on top of me. After I convert this to TB, the answer I have in TB, I have to convert that to GB. After I have the amount in GB, the answer I have in GB, I have to convert that to MB. So this is the process I have to follow in order for me to convert the 0.2 PB into MB. I have to first of all convert to TB, then the answer I get I have to convert to GB, that answer I have to convert to MB. This is a step-by-step process. Is that part clear? How to go from here to here? Got it? Right. Now, to convert from petabytes to terabytes, this first thing, okay, you can see we're going up. I told you whenever you're going up, you're going to multiply and keep the number 1024 in your mind. For everything 1024, only when you come across bits, it is 8. Huh? So to convert from petabytes to terabytes, I'm going to multiply by 1024. And then to convert from terabytes to gigabytes, you can see this table again. The answer in TB to convert it to MB, sorry, GB, and again multiply by 1024. And then to convert the GB value to MB, again I have to multiply by 1024. So here from GB to MB, again 1024. So these are step-by-step process of how I can convert from petabytes to megabytes. Got it? Okay. In the question, they were asking how many petabytes we have to convert. What is the amount of petabytes we have? Question has mentioned. Yes, the question has mentioned 0.2 petabytes. So what I'm going to do is the number of petabytes I have, it's what 0.2 no. So I'm going to take 0.2 and to convert it to terabytes, first of all multiply by 1024. So I'm done with this step. Then to convert it to GB, again multiply by 1024. So I'm done with this step. And to convert to megabytes, I again multiply by 1024. So I'm done with this step. And this will give me the answer of number of MB I have. So you can keep your answer like this as well. Or as you can simplify it and write like this as well. So 1024 you can write that as 2 to the power 10. 2 to the power 10. 2 to the power 10. Okay. So if you want, you can keep your answer like this as well. 0.2 into 2 to the power 30. This is basically maths. Okay. When you have the same, what do you call number, and you're multiplying, then the index will be added together. So this is how you do this question. You don't have to keep your answer like this itself. You can even keep your answer in this form without simplifying. You'll be still getting marks. Or you can simplify and keep it in this form or any other forms as well. Okay, do you understand now how to do this question? Okay, nice. Can we write 0.2 into 1024 to the power 3? Yes, we can. You can mention that as well. As long as you're equal to this, you're good to go. Anyone having any other questions? Relevant to what we learned today? Okay then. So as there's no other questions, I'm going to end the meeting. If there's any doubts, you can WhatsApp me and get them sorted. So with that, I'm going to end the meeting.